Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
And welcome to the Full Spectrum Project here on WBHM-DB out of Birmingham, Alabama. I am your host, Brian Clune, and I am joined by my co-host, Evelyn.
How y'all doing?
Because we're actually taking bets to see how long it takes before his voice completely gives out. He has had a bad flu or cold for the last few weeks, and we've been making fun of him. Just a little bit.
Actually, they've been treating me for pneumonia.
Ah, that's right. I forgot. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Well,
no.
You can hear me. Well, okay. I'm just going to go on because you guys can hear me. So that sounds good to me. We are also joined by. Wow. Okay.
Hey, y'all. Sorry.
Let's say hello, Angie.
Hello, Angie.
So today we are joined by Stefan Brigatti. Stefan is a friend of mine. God, I don't even know how long we've known each other, but it's been a long
time. I was thinking about that last night. I'm like, God, I've known Brian a long time now, so it's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
so many things have happened.
Forever.
Yeah.
And Stefan is not only a paranormalist and a TV personality, but now let's face it, Stefan, you are a rock star, literally. So,
okay, if you say so. It just doesn't come with the big paycheck those guys have, though. That's the only problem.
Yeah, we're all kind of looking for the big paycheck, but hopefully we'll find it one of these days. Now, I do have something that I need to correct from last week.
All right, tell me.
Well, Pete wasn't on the show last week because he was really sick. So Angie and I kind of filled in because our guest had some technical problems. So we just sort of talked about things paranormal in California, my new book, Haunted Heart of San Diego. And when I went to put a new show banner up, I said that it was an open mic night. So I wanted to apologize for inadvertently calling it an open mic night. I don't usually do that often. And actually, this only happened once before when I was part of an autopsy club. And they got really excited when I told them that we were having open mic night. It really didn't go over well for Open Steve night, but we try. So anyway, was that a delayed reaction there?
No, that was me trying to hold it in, and I just gave up.
Okay. So, Stefan, for our listeners who may not be familiar with you, and I find that might be kind of hard to believe, can you just give us a brief bio?
You want my rock star bio? You want my paranormal bio?
Yes. A little bit of both.
Well, okay. My name is Stefan Brigatti. I've been playing guitar for all eternity. I am an award-winning musician. Won for Best Song in 2018 and got a music award for Best Video in 2019. Toured all over the world, have 13 albums out, A lot of you probably wouldn't listen to it because it's extreme metal and punk rock and stuff like that. So, yeah. But on the paranormal side, I have been involved in the paranormal for over 30 years. Now, I say I got started in 91, but I don't think I did. I've always been into the paranormal, but when I say got started in 91, I kind of got my crap together and started getting organized because I was joined by other people who were fascinated by the paranormal along with me. So I was obviously the weird kid who went to the library and looked up all the ghost stories and all the haunted pictures and stuff like that. And just everyone thought I was weird because I was into that stuff. But hey, I was way ahead of the game, so that was cool. I've been investigating the paranormal since forever, organized with the team that I have, Pacific Coast Paranormal, which came along right after that. Started getting out there, going to historic places, answering questions for other people, and then started getting into the private investigations when we can, and started my own radio show. Been speaking at Paratons forever, trying to get into the technical side of things. When I started doing the paranormal, I didn't really want to work with that many psychics. I have a little bit of a psychic ability myself, so I kind of use that as a backup tool for myself. But I wanted hard, concrete evidence, and it seemed to work out great that way. But I have learned over the years that incorporating the psychics that I do work with, Mark Christopher Nelson, Patty Negri, Tuesday Miles, and many others, it helps validate a lot of the things that we're getting information on and helping us build the bigger picture. So it does really make a big advantage for a lot of us that are doing that kind of work.
Yeah, definitely. So, question: which came first, music or the paranormal?
Music.
The egg.
Well, it's hard to say. It's hard to say, Brian. Like I said, I've always experienced the paranormal as a kid. I used to see the Indians coming from the garage and going into my sister's room, so it wasn't a big deal, and I never really understood that nobody else saw that kind of stuff. So I got older, and it was just part of an everyday thing. And then when I got a little bit older, I had a bad experience. And I'm not going to say it was a bad experience. It was just kind of something that woke me up a little bit, realizing that not everything is Casper the Friendly Ghost. So that kind of launched me into that, okay, what's really going on here? And that's what drove me to learn more about what's happening with the paranormal.
Stefan, you had mentioned that you were seeing, Indians coming out of the garage? Was that what you said?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We used to live in this townhouse, and the garage was. Yes, actually, where I live in part of Southern California, there was a large community of Chumash out here, and one of the plains up on the hill, there was a large Indian population there. So there was kind of their stomping grounds, and then the farmers came into this area, started building and kind of moving in, and some of that area which was absolutely beautiful, was turned into houses and stuff, and that's where we lived. So it was pretty interesting. And then as becoming an investigator, doing research on the area, there was a large Chumash population there, and they were really affected by smallpox during those times when the epidemic was going on. So it's pretty interesting.
Now, you had just mentioned something about you had a bad experience. Can you get into that?
Yes. So usually it's no big deal. My parents, especially my mom, used to do a lot of paranormal research back in the 70s. And I would say things to her, and she would find that interesting, and she would start doing all the research for it. So everything was all good. When spirits want to make contact with me, you can kind of tell the energy gets stronger in certain areas, and you kind of focus on that. And she would say, oh, that means they're trying to make contact with you directly, blah, blah, blah. And it was all good. Okay. One night my parents were gone. I was a little bit older, and I was home, and I got home early from a friend's house, and things just didn't seem right. And hearing strange noises in the house, and then I'm in the living room just kind of trying to keep my cool, kind of freaking out a little bit. And then the family pictures were flying off the wall in the living room.
Oh, man.
So I basically got up and walked out of the house, went to the neighbor's house.
You just walked? I would have been running.
Yeah, just kind of like, hey, okay, I'm out, and especially for a kid trying to keep my composure and stuff. Yeah. Usually as a kid, you're like, yeah, get me out of here. It's going to get me. But no, I just bailed, left pictures wherever it was and just said, all right, bye, out until my dad came home. Then he thought I was
crazy. Did you ever find out what it was, or what were your impressions since you have ability?
The impression was it was my father's dad who was trying to make contact with me, because that was a lot of something going on with that. And the pictures that were on the wall that were coming off were pictures of him. Oh, so it was kind of a connection there. I'm like, that's weird. But when you're a kid, you're not thinking about that. You're just like, okay, things are moving. I'm out of here.
Did you ever stop and think of was there anything going on in your life at the time that he might have been trying to get your attention for, or trying to place you in an area for a message? Looking back at it now, because you're older, so you know a lot more. I know as a kid you might have not thought about it.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but now that I'm older, and since those times, I have thought about it. I never knew my grandfather, my dad's father. Okay. So so I never really thought of a connection being there until like even years later. I did an investigation, and there was a psychic there, and she's like, there's something with you, and I'm like, what? Someone's trying to make contact with me. I'm like, who's that? And they're like, your father's father. It's your grandfather on your dad's side. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so, because I don't even know that guy. It's just like, she was very adamant about it and said, well, it doesn't matter. He wants to get to know you. I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking maybe there's a connection there. Maybe he was trying to let me know that, hey, this guy flipping the picture off the wall, this is me. Talk to me. I'm your grandfather. I was like, I don't know.
Well, family members do tend to, come back to, aid other family members, especially if they're having, difficulties like you may have had, processing the whole paranormal thing. So, that could have been what he was there for.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anything like that's possible. And it was just freaky because there's things moving and flying off the walls, but overall that wasn't like a terrifying experience.
Well, I was going to say,
had to get out of there to figure out what's going on.
If it was anything like my grandfather, I would fully expect him to actually not just knocking him off the walls, but throwing the stuff at me. So.
Oh, really? Kick his feet off the couch, Brian.
With pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah, exactly. That is one thing. He used to do snapping turtle hunting. And he was good. He was a good shot. So yeah, he'd beat me in the head if he wanted.
Wow, turtle hunting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's nothing like growing up, going out to Ohio and being forced to eat turtle soup when you're like, I don't want to eat a turtle.
Oh yeah, that's kind of weird for a kid.
Yeah, especially a kid from California,
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry, Pete.
So no, it's okay. Some folks out here eat armadillo. So I guess a shelled animal is kind of weird, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could.
I think we could probably eat a lot more animals. There's a lot more animals out there we could be eating besides the 3 or 4 that we eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having driven through Texas a few times and seeing the large amount of armadillos lying on the side of the road.
The Texas speed bumps.
Texas speed bumps, exactly. I could just see them popping up in roadkill cafes all over town. So I think I might have to pass on the armadillo, though.
Yeah, probably doesn't seem too good. It's probably tough meat anyway.
Pete, is it?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, is it tough meat? Come on, we know you've eaten armadillo.
I have not eaten armadillo. I won't eat armadillo.
I don't know.
All right. What about possum? People eat possum pie and say it's good.
I haven't eaten possum either.
Yeah,
most exotic I've ever gone was either rattlesnake or alligator.
Well, years ago, my mother-in-law, and she was actually living, if I remember right, in Houston at the time, sent me a shirt that said Roadkill Cafe, and it was not the one in Seligman, Arizona, so I'm not sure where she got the shirt. But she also sent me a roadkill cookbook, and it actually had opossum stew, squirrel, skunk. I mean, it literally had recipes for things that I was looking through the cookbook, just going, yeah, no, let's just burn this thing. It's like 3/4 of what was in it. I was like, nope, I'm not going to eat it. No.
It sounds like a culinary Necronomicon.
It kind of was, and knowing my mother-in-law, it was meant half as a joke, half as here, eat this. So
to see if you would do it. That's funny.
Yeah.
If it walks, crawls, or limps, it goes in the pot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cuts down on the grocery bill too.
Probably.
So you mentioned that you've been researching the paranormal for like over 30 years, and that you've studied parascience. What are some of the sciences that have prepared you for paranormal investigation?
Well, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of factors in investigative work. You know, a lot of people to think it's like what you see on TV. You run in there with a camera and your pocket recorder, and away you go. I mean, technically you can start that way, but there's a lot of other factors in there. You know, a lot of people, and when I do the Paracons and talk about some of this stuff, they're like blown away by what I'm talking about. Like, yeah. Studying the alignments of the gravity of the moon, the solar rays and how it affects certain areas on the planet from the sun, temperature factors. A lot of people go in there and and this is something I used to see, and I don't see a whole lot of it anymore. People used to go in there and do setups when they do paranormal investigations. They'll do a pre-walk, and they'll do like a checklist and say, okay, this room's basically at this temperature, blah, 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 let's move to the next one. So you're starting off with a table of variances. I don't see that a lot. A lot of people just go, oh, my K2 is blinking. Oh, it's getting cold in here. I mean, okay, and even on my show, I mentioned
you have to run back. Yeah, you have to run backgrounds so you have your level playing ground on it.
Exactly. Because when you go, oh, it just dropped. It just dropped like 4 degrees. How do you know? Where was it before you felt the coldness? I mean, and I see that a lot of that in the paranormal field. Even on my show, I always talk about, there's lots and lots of investigators out there, but very few researchers nowadays. And the research is what's important. We're not just going out there to document this evidence. We're going out there to see what's making it happen, what the reality of the situation is. There's certain things that can lead to certain types of hauntings, and those are the things that we're looking for. What causes this? What makes this porthole stronger than other ones? Is it because of the temperature in the room? Is it because of the energy of the people that are in the room? How are we measuring this? And when we get that information, are we doing it? We comparing that to the second time around. We're going back a second time. What has changed? Those are the things that are important, and a lot of people don't even look at that anymore. And I feel that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
We had a team out here that had asked me to look at some data that they gave me, and it wasn't a K2 meter. It was back in the 90s, so I can't remember what it was. Might have been a Sperry, but they were measuring around this desk, and then they got to this typewriter, and they were asking me if the typewriter was haunted. Damn thing was plugged in.
Yeah, that would be a little bit weird.
Yeah,
I tried to explain it to them what they said about what I noticed, and they had told me that no, the story is somebody died here and he's probably trying to type a letter or something. I'm like, nah, man, it's just plugged in, dude.
Yeah.
So even if even with a power surge, that's going to make that thing make a noise or
Of course.
whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So that's not.
We need to take a quick station identification break, but when we come back, we will continue talking with Stefan Brigatti, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate Magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the world wide web of weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
And welcome back to the Full Spectrum Project on WBHM-DB out of Birmingham, Alabama. If you haven't joined already and would like to go to the chat room, you can go to WBHM-DB. Wow, I got that wrong. .com and click. I know it's bad. Click on the show banner. And if you have any questions for our guest or your host, you can call into area code 205-533-7982. Stefan, one other thing that I noticed in your bio, you mentioned psychologistics of a haunting. What can you tell us about that?
So psychologistics is when you're studying like mental health backgrounds and stuff like that. There are certain types of hauntings that can affect people and their bodies and the way they think. Like obviously, when we're around a fear cage or we're near too much electricity, it's giving off a bad ground. It affects our body. Sometimes it can get so strong that it affects our mind, our processing. You know, we're basically a computer, and it's like putting a magnet too close to your computer, and your hard drive is starting to mess up a little bit. Hard to concentrate. You can start hallucinating things. You can start experiencing senses, seeing things, smelling things. Even your taste can change. things like that. So what you got to do is start studying not just the environment that the hauntings are taking place in, but the people who are being affected by the haunting as well. What are they going through? What is their body going through? I mean, we're talking about energy charges that are happening, and that all that electricity is going to affect the body. That's why, when we're out there investigating, sometimes even if there's just 2 or 3 of us in a room, one of us will be affected by what's happening in the room. Something's trying to make that direct contact. Their energy is linking with that person. So that is affecting their psychological aspect of what's happening in their world versus the other 2 who are not experiencing anything. So it's like a study of feelings and the environment of a haunting.
Now, when you suspect that there is some of that going on, has it or can it affect the investigators as they're doing their work? Can it happen that quickly, or is this something that happens over a period of time?
It can happen quickly, but you definitely feel the experiences more when you're exposed to it for long periods of time. It gets intensified. It's like stronger and stronger and stronger, so that can affect you a lot. So I have this friend who's well-known, and he has a very well-known haunted house. He built this house on the side of a mountain. It's covered in sandstone and limestone, and it's got a huge quartz layer underneath it, like a vein going through the Hollywood Hills. And now when he built this house, he put these iron girders really deep into this vein for stability when he built this 3-story mansion. And this thing acts like a battery. It's a giant Duracell battery on the side of a mountain. And he lives in there.
That's the Stanley effect, isn't it?
In a way, yeah. Partly.
Yeah. In a way, exactly like that. But this person lives in this house constantly, and his adrenaline is heightened. His speech is really fast. I mean, when people meet this person, they always wonder, is this guy nuts or what? Because it's just so intense, And a lot of people see his haunted videos and all this stuff saying, oh, it's faking, this is not true. But it's very true. I'm one of the pioneer investigators on this case. And I've seen it happen. I've been friends with him for many, many years, like 20 years. And I've seen how this house and the environment he lives in can affect him directly. Now, I'm not saying he's possessed or crazy or anything. I just see how he lives in there, and most people that come to visit can't handle being there more than a few hours because they feel worn out and sick. So that just shows you how it can affect somebody. Yeah,
he was actually helped me out quite a bit with one of the books I wrote, Hollywood Obscura, and I was really appreciative that he gave me his time and kind of filled me in on what was going on. I really appreciated him for doing that. Stefan, we had a couple questions in the chat room. One is asking, when you were younger and saw ghosts all the time, were there any you were afraid of?
No.
No?
No.
So all right. And they also would like to know, what was the strangest thing you ever encountered on a paranormal investigation?
I'll talk a little bit about it. Those who do follow me know that I handle a lot of extreme violent haunting cases. And I try not to talk too much about them because you always because you're focusing on that combination of what it could be, and you could always manifest that stuff back and bring it back. So it's tough. One time, I'll kind of give you a brief scenario. I used to be friends with a coven of witches, and one of their they would have a feast in the beginning of November. So I was there with it, and, you know, there was some strange things going on. I saw a spirit of a little girl dressed in black and yellow, wearing like a skirt and pigtails. It was really interesting, and the lead witch knew all about it because this was at her house, and this girl apparently haunted there. But I was able to see her. And this is what was interesting. As she got used to me, she got closer and closer and realized I wasn't a threat. And then she came over, and at the time I had extremely long hair, totally rocking the Native American look. And she was able to get behind me, sneak behind me, and I could feel her playing with my hair. And all I'm feeling is like I'm in some kind of a wave that I'm just feeling nothing but this intense tingling sensation all over my back and on my shoulders and stuff. And I'm realizing she's playing with my hair, and my friend goes, "Oh, how cute! She's playing with your hair. She likes you." And I'm all, "Yeah." I'm totally goosebumped up, and I could feel the energy coming off her. That was amazing. But as far as investigative, a friend of mine who was dabbling in the craft went into this room where apparently this one witch conjured something from I'll say like a lower level, kind of thinking she was saving this thing from torment. And it was kind of I'm not going to say demonic, because demonic, you just think of like crazy things with fangs and horns and something mean trying to kill you. Right. This was some kind of massive energy that was conscious. And it lured my friend who was trying to make contact with it. And he was just going to I'm going to have a conversation with this thing and learn about it. It's like, yeah, dude, probably not a good idea. But he did anyway. So about an hour later, we're all looking for him, saying, "What happened to Darren? Where'd Darren go?" "Oh, he's in the room talking to that thing. Oh, better check on him." So we go to check on him. The lights are out. He's laying in the middle of the floor and can barely speak. We turn the lights on, and he was the whitest color I have ever seen anybody in my entire life. I mean, it was like an envelope. It was just so white and just covered with sweat and like barely conscious. This thing was trying to lure him in for a conversation, pretending like it's going to give him information or have a conversation with him. But it was just keeping him there, draining him of his energy, basically trying to rob him of whatever he can get from him. So she comes in and she starts doing some kind of incantation to bind this thing and to, expel it. I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna jump in on this and I'll help. And I'm grabbing these incense palms, those big ones they used to have like the temples and stuff that just don't go out when you light them. They're just like super solid. Well, I go from corner to corner doing this little paranormal thing, trying to cleanse the room. And by the second corner, this thing is out. I mean, it's not even on fire anymore. There's not even smoke. This thing just put my incense out. So I'm like, okay, so this guy's to deal with, but we had to drag him out of there and away from this thing. And like, the wind was outside. I mean, it was like a scene from Hollywood. I mean, I swear, like the lights were blinking and stuff. It was pretty wild stuff. So, for that being said, I just want to warn those out there who are dealing in those kind of activities, the crafts or whatever it is you want to do, play it safe and be sure you know what you're doing before you start opening doorways for other things, because there are things on the other side that were not human. They do not know what compassion is, and that are very, very dangerous.
Yeah, that's sorry. That's definitely good advice. So you also educate others.
I try.
What are some of the things that you teach? And for those that are interested, where can people find you to take one of your seminars?
I usually do them at the Paracon. I started doing Paracon forever ago. I see you there a lot of these things. And what I've done over the years is I'll take a different subject, and I'll try to do that through that year of all the Paracons that I do. Right. I am going to be doing a lot of that stuff on my YouTube channel, just talking about techniques and stuff like that people could try. I talk a lot. One of the big ones that I got was, I think I was started at the Preston Castle Paracon with Doug Carnahan like a million years ago. And there was a lot of great speakers, and I decided this year I'm going to go old school. So I stepped back and I went back to the old techniques, scrying, fire scrying, water scrying, mirror scrying. And I was talking about the old techniques and how to apply them to modern day real world paranormal investigative techniques, because I'm incorporating video cameras, certain types of angles, certain types of things where you can do the scrying digitally. That went really well. A lot of people really liked the old style of investigating added to the new.
Right.
Another big one I started doing was infrasound. I'm really big with infrasound and how it affects the paranormal. I mean, on multiple levels. So that's another big one I do. On my Facebook pages, on My Darkest Hour, you can actually go there, and there's a lot of pages of techniques and stuff on there that you can already find.
Stefan, can you describe for the people that might not know what scrying is and what infrasound does?
Absolutely. Let's start with scrying. Scrying is an ancient technique used for to get visions. A lot of people with that are sensitive or have psychic abilities, or even those who just have that kind of deeper sense of focus, have been able to scry. When they talk about someone like Nostradamus, for example, Nostradamus just didn't just walk around his garden and go, "Oh, I'm feeling this, I'm seeing that." He would have these sessions at his writing table, and he had this little cauldron of fire that he would burn things in, and he would look into the fire and kind of gaze in there, and he would see images, he would see pictures, and then he would write down exactly what he was seeing, and that's how he got a lot of his predictions. That's what he saw in the fire. That's called fire scrying. You can do the same thing with water. You can sit there and look at the water, and you can ask questions, and sometimes you'll see images on it. I recommend that using a camera, because what I've learned over the years doing stuff like that, if I slow the cameras down when I'm shooting it at a fire, I can actually see the different images coming through. I've seen figures of people standing there, things moving in the fire. I mean, you can slow that down and really get a good shot of what you're doing. Mirror scrying. We all talk about how mirrors are portholes to different places. There's a couple of different things. People think spirits get trapped in mirrors. That's why they used to cover mirrors back in the day. I realized over the years that spirits can use those for going into a different dimension, just kind of using it as a doorway. It's nice and open, and they can actually utilize that dimensionally. So you can point your cameras at that, and you can see the things coming out of it, especially if you're using a night vision camera on an angled station facing one of the mirrors, especially if it's a haunted mirror. That's always great at tests like that.
How can you tell the difference between seeing a spirit and it being pareidolia?
Well, that's a good question, because a lot of it is what you're seeing. But like I said, if you're asking questions and it kind of relates, then you have a bigger chance of it being more relative. Just like a spirit box, we get spirits, voices coming through, and if you're just letting it run randomly, you're just going to get a series of random things coming through. If you're asking a question and it relates within a certain time frame, and I really mean that when I say a certain time frame. You can't ask a question and then get a response a minute later and say, "Oh, thank you." It's like, no, that's inconclusive and speculative. So that's not going to be a good evidence. But if you're asking for something, say, "Show me something," and all of a sudden on the camera you're seeing something, then that's something that's a little more defined.
Okay.
Yeah. You were talking about using some of the old school techniques and devices. So I need to ask the Ouija board. What are your thoughts on the Ouija board? Because it does get a little bit more old school than the Ouija board, because the Ouija board is not that old. But I'm just kind of curious what your feelings behind that specific device, shall we say, is.
Okay. The Ouija board is a more 20th century version of the witch board, which is a little bit older, which really came around during the age of spiritualism and stuff when this new series came out. Everything we do is with intent. You know, you can have a Ouija board, you could put it on your table and not do anything with it, and it's just some board sitting on your table. It doesn't have any special powers. It's not malicious. It's not going to try to do anything. It's just a game that Parker Brothers put out there. But like anything else we do, it's with intent. I'm now thinking to myself, I'm going to use this thing and I'm going to contact a spirit. So I'm going to focus my energy. And energy is something that you can use to shift, and you can use it for other different things. You can utilize your body as an energy source and make this thing move. When you get more people with their hands on the planchette, there's more energy current flowing through there. Now, you can use that, and you can get that, and you can link, and just like any other spirit, it can link with your energy. So that it is possible for that spirit to link with your energy to spell certain things. But you have to remember, like, what are you thinking you're doing? Like, are you just trying to talk to some random person? Are you trying to contact a certain family member? Are you trying to contact a demon? Because all the videos I see, everyone's talking to demons. It's just like, what's going on here? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. And anytime you're using some kind of ritualistic thing like a Ouija board, because you're getting it out, you're prepping for it, you're supposed to do some protection grounding stuff to keep yourself grounded from anything that might come through the board to affect you. I see these videos and no one's doing that. I see these videos of people getting freaked out, and things are happening, and they just get up and run away from the board, and, you know, they might have brought something in. It doesn't really need to be the Ouija board in the room that's making contact with the spirit. There could already be a spirit close that says, oh, this guy's going to try to do this. Okay, let's go for it. Let's try to make contact, you know. So it's not really the Ouija board. The Ouija board is not some kind of evil thing that's affecting people. It's the intent and what you're trying to do, which is the overall effect of what you're getting.
Yeah, and, you know, for me, I don't see any difference between a piece of cardboard with a plastic planchette and walking around basically doing the exact same thing with a device that has batteries. To me, there's not really much difference. It's the human factor rather than the device. Anyway, we need to take a quick station identification break. When we come back, we will continue talking with Stefan Brigatti, and we will see you guys on the other side.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Full Spectrum Project on WBHM-DB out of Birmingham, Alabama. If you haven't joined the chat room already and would like to, go to WBHM-DB.com, click on the Full Spectrum Project show banner, and that will take you to the chat room. And if you would like to call in with questions for our guest or the hosts, you can call into area code 205-533-7982. So we have been talking with Stefan Brigatti about, well, kind of all kinds of things.
Hey, Brian?
Yes?
Can I interrupt you here for a second?
No.
I wanted to make an announcement. I'm going to make an announcement anyway.
Okay, fine.
Okay. We are having a contest starting next week with our guest, Randy Liebeck. And the person that brings in the most people to the chat room will get a Full Spectrum Project flask. Now, what you need to do is have the people that you bring in, they need to say who brought them, and we will keep count. And at the end of the night, we will announce the winner, and then I'll just ask them to email me, so I can get that prize out to you. This will go on probably for the next couple of weeks. We're trying to get listenership up, and I think the flask was pretty cool. So
They
back
actually
to you,
are.
Brian.
Yeah,
they are.
So, I was curious about something. If a bank gets robbed by ghosts, is it a poltergeist?
Stefan,
you write
I'm
your
sorry.
material, Brian.
They do. Yeah. This is what happens when he pays people that will work for food.
Or I get interrupted.
Yeah, there you go.
I
I'm
thought
sorry.
our listeners might want to know that.
I just, it was just something I was thinking about. I don't know where my brain goes. I'm sorry. So
I think it leaves. I think it leaves before the show, and it comes back after.
I'm not sure it ever came back, to be perfectly honest with you, but I'm working on it.
You'll find it. Just keep looking. You'll get it.
Well, yeah, sooner or later.
Well, the
maybe,
problem
but it'll
is
probably be a little dusty.
Well, the problem is when we told him he lost his marbles. Now he's just sticking marbles up his nose to try to get that space full.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're kind of comfortable up there. So
yeah, I know. That's what that rattling sound is, Stefan, if you hear it.
I was wondering what that was. All right, so Stefan, I'm sorry. I get lazy.
Whatever.
Yeah, I get lazy every once in a while, so my apologies. So you host events for paranormal groups all around the world. Can you tell us about some of these, both here in America and abroad?
So, yeah, like I said, I do a lot of the paranormal stuff, the conventions. What's interesting is a lot of people focus on a lot of the technology here in the United States versus over in Europe and stuff, and even in parts of South America. They're more into the spiritual aspect versus a lot of the science aspect, especially in the UK and stuff. There's a lot of history in there, and they use a lot of old techniques. One of the ones I've seen used today still is table tapping and stuff like that.
Right.
Trying to get and we do that in our own American aspect of that. Can you make a noise from it? Can you knock on the wall? Can you do this? Can you do that? We're always trying to make these spirits do things, and I see a lot of that old world techniques used in some of those older countries. So that's a huge thing. Yeah, I know that I could talk about that. One of the things that I learned over the years of speaking at these events is a lot of people go to these Paracons and they're looking for people to tell them ghost stories. They want to hear a ghost story. They want to talk about the ghost. If you can show them a picture or a video of a ghost, it's awesome. But when we're talking about science and technique and stuff like that, they don't really want to hear much about science. They don't want to have to think so much.
Right.
So I started doing that every other event. One thing, I'd keep it simple and right to the point. And then another one, I'd come back and I would try to educate them with the science behind something, talking about the effects of the positive ions and negative ions and axons, actual physical matter, energy and stuff, and how it affects the paranormal. And they're just like, oh, yeah, that's great. And they don't really care. But when I talk about, oh, well, look at this photograph. We got this on one of our full spectrum cameras. And they're like, oh, that is so great. Yay.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're coming here for the ghost stories. You're coming here for the excitement. You're not really coming here for the education. So I try to mix it up a little bit to see who's paying attention to what. And when I can get those people who are listening to the science stuff, it's real exciting because they know what I'm talking about. They're like, yeah, I know that's just like really cool. Somebody's tuned in that we can take it to the next level of scientific study.
Right. And I know that's a lot of it to me depends on who is sitting in on the seminar. At the first Vulture City Paracon, Bob and I put a presentation on about EVPs, but instead of just playing EVPs like a lot of people do at the Paracons, we were trying to explain to people how to analyze them using the Hertz ranges. And a lot of people were actually, fascinated by, how you can judge whether it's an actual EVP, whether it's an actual spirit voice, or whether it's human, just by delving into the Hertz ranges. But then at the same time, Bob and I realized that a lot of people are going to be bored with this. So we try and put in a lot of humor and, have fun with it rather than just trying to be, completely serious about the whole thing, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
we exactly that.
Yeah. But, like at next October's Vulture City Paracon, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're actually going to be delving into not necessarily a ghost story, but a legend, as it were, going back all the way to the Cornish miners. I'm sorry, I just kind of went off there. So you and your group have appeared on, just so many TV shows and radio shows. Can you tell us about some of these and, how you were approached by them and, how, what they were asking you and things like that? Because I know a lot of people are really into the TV shows and things, and it'd just be, considering how many of them you guys have been on, it'd be a great thing to kind of let our listeners know about.
Sure. We have done a lot of paranormal television. Some of it's good, some of it, I don't know. I love a good ghost story too. I watch the shows. We've all watched the shows, but as time goes on, it's all kind of the same, and it's really hard when you really want to get into the aspect of true paranormal investigation. There are people in this world who either want to be a paranormal investigator or they want to be a TV star. And it depends on the production company you're working with to see what they're all about. Now, a lot of the stories that you've seen that we've done on the paranormal TV shows are covering extreme cases that we've done. Like I said before, we do a lot of extreme cases, and the word gets out, and then someone's contacting us or asking. We're getting emails from production companies saying, "Hey, what happened on this? Bob, tell me about it. You guys want to do this episode?" And they want to put a little story together,
Right.
And it's tough. It's a totally different world than doing real-time paranormal investigative work, because you're sitting there, you're focused, You're trying to gather information. When you're doing TV shows, you're no longer doing that. You are reenacting, in a sense, what you're doing. I mean, you use a lot of footage, but there are times when we're coming into a room or we're walking into a bathroom that might have had some activities, and there's a cameraman standing there in the bathtub. So it's kind of a trip, but I get it. They're trying to build and tell the story about it, but sometimes it's tough because you want to keep the integrity of the investigation and what you experienced, and the respect for the client who had to go through this experience as well, keeping that integrity correct, because TV shows, they'll take the story and they'll kind of run with it, and then they kind of mix it up. You might say one thing, but they edit it so it makes you look like you say something else. It's
right.
Pretty bad. You and I both know Todd Wolf, and I saw that exact thing happen to him. He was on a show. They were documenting Wolf Manor. They asked him his opinion, and if they thought that Wolf Manor was evil and that he should shut it down. And he says, no, I'm going to rebuild it and make it into a bed and breakfast. So they didn't like that, and they edited that episode of him to make him look like a total jerk.
Right.
It's like, wow, dude, I know that guy, and that is not how he is. So it's like unbelievable.
Well,
so really
that's the beauty of a production company. Once you sign that contract, they can edit you any way they want to.
Well, absolutely.
With Wolf Manor, and getting away from Zach's experience, Todd, I got a kick out of it. I'm not going to mention the show, but there was a show that had filmed there, and one of the people on the show started berating Todd for making money off of Wolf Manor. And I was thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, I know Todd, and he never charged for any investigations that I know of. He actually used to give money to the Clovis High School.
Well, that's cool.
When they were doing the haunted house, at Halloween. And then it got me thinking, it's like, well, wait a minute. So you're getting on him for supposedly making money, which he isn't, while you are filming making money off of the ghosts you're complaining he's making money off of. It was just one of those things like, really?
Yeah, you and I are talking about the same people.
Yeah. And it was just kind of like,
I couldn't believe it myself. I'm like, dude, Todd's like the coolest guy. He's like a community member and everything, trying to help the community, and you're just ripping on him? Like, really?
Yeah. Well, now that same show had us doing some filming. I'm not going to say where, and then constantly tried to get us to lie, say things that weren't true, and we were just kind of like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Sorry.
Yeah, I've had that happen a couple of times on a couple of pilots that they wanted us to embellish what we did or fake evidence, and we've walked off of pilots just because of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's really sad. Paranormal TV is obviously not what most people think it is. So anyway, we are going to have to take a quick station identification break. And then when we come back, we will be at our wonderful, my mouth is dry, Weird World News segment with Angie Moley. So we will be right back with our Weird World News.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Ladies and gentlemen, in my best froggy voice that I can muster, I give you Angie Moley and the Weird World News.
Woo! Good evening, y'all.
Now, Angie, not everybody gets to be introduced by Krusty the Clown. So
I'm saying.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm I'm both flattered and very frightened. So that's awesome.
We should not repulsed.
I was going to say, Angie, you always frighten us. So, it's nice to be able to return the favor once in a while.
I'm really scared.
Well, don't be scared because I pulled out one of the stories and replaced it with something much better. So,
well, thank you. If you pulled it out, it's probably something bad.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to Jimmy, the guy who writes all my stories for me. He's fired.
Okay.
You know what? I need to ask, especially since I have a fellow Californian on that we're interviewing tonight.
Oh, man, that's right. It's 2-2 tonight.
Yeah.
Yes. The answer is yes. Yes.
Oh, Stefan, beware. Yeah. California will be raked over the coals.
And I'm also going to say that I intentionally did not report on 3 stories I thought were perfectly Weird World newsworthy because they were in California. And I was like, man, I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way. I don't want them to think I'm picking on them. I mean, y'all do it.
You've ever said that.
I know.
No, Pete, what this means is she's going to spread it out over weeks.
Yeah, basically.
So, see?
Oh, well, that's okay. That's all right.
That, and I also read an article today. Well, I take that back. I started to read it, but then I started seeing black spots and I was getting a headache because I was getting so keyed up and upset that I had to quit reading it. But I started to read an article in Texas Monthly today about the over 700,000 Californians that have moved to Texas recently. So
you're welcome.
Okay.
That's not Weird World news.
But she's trying to figure out what she can throw at me through the radio.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to take deep breaths, but all it's really doing is going to make me hyperventilate. Okay. We're full. Amazing fossils have been found in the Guangzhou region of South China, and it's going to change everything we know about oviraptors and the evolution of birds. The 700 million year old oviraptor nest was found in Nanzhayong Formation. Formation. And it contains at least 7 embryos and the 24 eggs that are present, as well as the adults sitting on the nest. Plenty of fossil eggs and nests with parents found. None have ever contained embryos until now. Unfortunately, we have no way of knowing if the parent was incubating the eggs or if they were merely guarding them until they hatched. What is known is that the embryos are in different stages of development. There are many possible scenarios, such as the parent incubating the eggs, and the ones closer to the top were more developed because they were warmer, or it could mean that they lay eggs at different time periods and they just guard their brood, which would also explain why some eggs are empty. So much more data can be collected to help piece together the behavior of these dinosaurs, which can, in turn, help us understand the animals in our modern world and use that information to guide us in how to preserve and rebuild habitats and work on not destroying the planet that's right beneath our feet.
So you were saying that some of the eggs were empty?
Yes.
Why were they?
They have, well, it could be that they broke, before they were fossilized and maybe they were never fertilized. It could be that they were already hatched out. Yeah, so they don't know exactly what caused the order of the order of operations. They don't know that yet.
Gotcha.
But they have been able to, I didn't even know this was possible, which is funny because I read these kind of papers all the time, but they analyzed oxygen isotopes from inside the eggs, and they were able to figure out what temperature the eggs were. And they were between 86 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which was the same body temperature as the adult.
Is it just me, or does that seem a little high for something that would be a cold-blooded creature?
You're asking the wrong person. All I know is that dogs typically are like 106.
Well, yeah.
Really? But that's warm-blooded animal. This is a reptile type, which would be cold-blood.
Right. But I have no idea. And, the whole thing about, the crossover with birds and all of that, I have a feeling, coming from the area of, the scientific community that's like plant taxonomy, they can't keep things in one family. They end up moving stuff around all the time. They change names and they recategorize it. And animals are kind of the same way. Not as prolific, but I mean, it happens. So it wouldn't even be surprising to me if they ended up completely coming up with a different idea about dinosaurs.
Yeah, I think some of our knowledge about dinosaurs is still fairly limited, but that's me just being a novice, so I'm not really sure.
You don't remember?
Oh man,
I love you, Brian.
Pete, get the stick, Pete.
No,
the stick.
Sorry.
I have the stick.
It's okay. Take it like a man, Brian. Take it like a man.
Like I have a choice.
If you're familiar with Edvard Munch's painting The Scream, then you'll understand this next story. For years, people have been wondering about a small note written in pencil at the top left corner of the painting that says, could only have been painted by a madman. Experts have tried to figure out if it was the work of a vandal or if Munch himself scribbled it on. And there are 4 versions of the painting, and the one in question is currently at the National Museum of Norway, and Edvard Munch was Norwegian. Scientists there have scrutinized the painting with both a microscope as well as infrared photos, and it's determined that it was definitely written on top of dry paint. The infrared images make the carbon in the pencil pop out much clearer, and researchers have confirmed that it is indeed Munch's handwriting.
Oh, wow.
So I think that is incredibly cool. That is one of my favorite paintings. And so when I happened to come across this story, I was like, okay, the guy's even calling himself a madman. And I don't know if he meant it as a joke or seriously. And I think it's funny.
I would think it would probably be more tongue in cheek, but I wasn't there.
Right. I have no idea. Brian lead was in that paint.
Brian was there.
Watch it, Pete. Jeez.
He was in a past life, he was a shoeshine boy.
You know what? You guys are actually making me senile.
Well, there's a reason we have flasks as show merch.
Oh my God.
Okay. A 39-year-old man in Anaheim.
It's a medicine bottle.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Medicine flask, yes.
Yeah.
I put Granny's rheumatism medicine in it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know. Go ahead.
A 39-year-old man in Anaheim, California is claiming his drunken wife ruined Christmas, but probably not in the way you think. I'm not making up this guy's name either, but William Wallace is accused of killing his 26-year-old wife on Christmas Eve and propping her up on the couch and putting sunglasses on her for Christmas Day. He then told the kids that their mommy ruined Christmas by being passed out drunk and for them to just go ahead and open their presents anyway. These kids opened Christmas presents Christmas morning in front of their dead mother and the man accused of killing her. The cops say that he killed her in a fight on Christmas Eve, but the accused says that she was drunk on Christmas Eve and killed herself by falling into a glass table. However, Wallace has been to jail in the past for beating the victim, who, ironically and tragically, was going to school to be a domestic violence counselor.
Oh, my God.
Unfortunately, that's a good one.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it usually goes.
Yep.
Now it's too bad that it was on Christmas and not just before Easter. You'll get it.
Will I?
Well, it's a whole new theme on Resurrection Mary, but we won't go there.
Her name was Zazelle.
A moment of silence for the joke that just died.
And it ain't resurrecting. Okay, so in yet another how safe is your airline story. I forgot I did leave this one on. A California man was arrested a couple of months ago at O'Hare Airport in Chicago for hiding in a restricted area of the airport. The thing is, he'd been hiding in the supposedly secure restricted area for 3 months.
Huh?
Aditya Singh provided officers with an ID badge when someone finally noticed that something was off and that this guy was hanging out somewhere that he might not have needed to be. The badge had been reported missing last October. He didn't tell officers where he'd gotten the badge. Singh explained that he was too scared to return home to California due to COVID and instead decided to wait it out at O'Hare. He survived off food given to him by strangers, so not only could he be considered a security risk, but he's a bum too. But that's not all. It's better. It turns out that the guy claims he has very high anxiety issues, and there's online proof of that. The 36-year-old man has a prolific social media presence with videos of him traveling with a teddy bear named Bubby.
And what's wrong with that?
I've heard everything.
Forget I said that.
We're trying to. That's not all, though. It still gets better. Singh was arrested recently for violating terms of his supervised release prior to his trial.
Well, thank God he wasn't trying to violate Bubby.
Yeah.
I don't. He was required to wear an ankle monitor and stay within a certain physical boundary. While out on release before being in court on felony criminal trespass and misdemeanor theft charges, he decided to ignore the court's orders and tried to evade authorities by hiding in bushes on a railroad line, seemingly totally unaware of how GPS coordinates work. He was put back in jail, and his court appearance should have been yesterday, but I couldn't find any information about how that went.
He's probably hiding out in the bus terminal. Just saying. Wasn't there a movie with, I think it was Tom Hanks, that was similar to that? Somebody that was living in an airplane terminal? No?
Don't recall.
I know you're not asking
With Tom
me.
Hanks? I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. It was probably about 7-8 years ago. But yeah, there was a movie that was kind of roughly the same thing.
Oh, I
was thinking that you were trying to bring up another dad joke.
No, I would not do that, Pete.
Oh,
you know that.
I think about this book that I read growing up. It was one of my favorites, and it was written by this woman named E.L. Konigsberg, and the book was named from the mixed-up files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler.
My God, I remember that.
Yes, and the kids hid and lived in the museum for a few weeks. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, the movie sucked.
I feel old now. Oh, Jesus.
Well, y'all, that's
never
all I
heard of
got
it.
for y'all tonight. Thank you so much for listening to the Full Spectrum Project's Weird World News on WBHM-DB, Birmingham, Alabama.
Well, thank you, Angie. Oh, and I also did a giveaway. Sherry in our chat room is receiving our Weird World News shot glass with Angie's picture on it. And it says Weird World News underneath of it. It's really cool. So, yeah, Sherry just won that one.
So many jokes I could make about my face on a shot glass, but not gonna. Okay, well, I'm done.
And that was what happened.
That's very interesting. The guy in the airport, that's kind of weird stuff. I mean, if you couldn't afford food, why would you be doing it in an airport to begin with?
Yeah, I know. Where are you, Mr. Brian?
You had to go to the bathroom.
Oh, great. Okay. So thank you all. Thank you, Angie, for coming for the Weird World News. And Stefan, Tell what?
You're done?
You
okay.
I'm sorry. My phone seems to be doing some weird things here, and I'm not really sure why. It's weird. My computer's doing weird stuff tonight. My phone's doing weird stuff. My apologies for that. But you know what? I did actually have a question for you guys. Have you ever seen a yellow ghost? I mean, a ghost that was a yellow color.
No, I haven't seen a yellow color ghost.
All right. Well, I'm actually glad for that because it would have been a figment of your imagination.
Did you just look that up right now?
Of course not.
Oh my God.
He absolutely
hold on. We put mute on so I can look it up. Yeah.
Look
up ghost joke.
I actually.
So you're telling me you missed your cue because you were Googling dad jokes?
No, I was not. I swear to God.
Busted.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, seriously. You can see in the chat room where I've been putting stuff up about how my electronics are acting really weird tonight, and I'm not even sure what was going on. And I looked, my microphone wasn't muted, and then it was, and then it wasn't. So I don't know what's going on. But I actually, told a really bad ghost joke years ago, and it's still haunting me today. I try not to do that anymore.
Stefan, I think you looked up some new dad jokes.
I did not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. Seriously.
You thought, what other puns can I use in this one? Yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you trying to tell me I'm pontificating?
And it continues.
Yeah, he's got a list, Stefan. He's got a list. He's gonna he's gonna run them out. So just be ready.
In that case, I'm just gonna punt over to Pete. Are you growling?
Yeah. No, actually, that's my voice. It's starting to go.
Gotcha. All right, so Stefan, you mentioned that you are in production for a major network. Can you give us a little bit of insight into that without saying too much?
Yeah, sure. I've been doing some stuff and doing some independent videos and stuff like that, and then I got asked to do a series kind of put together, and it was funny because I've been working on the smaller stuff, and they said, hey, we want you to do a series, if you want to sign an exclusive deal, that'd be great. You guys know how television's working nowadays. All production companies are getting away from all the cable TV people, and it's all becoming television. It's all becoming streaming. So it is for a streaming service, and it's funny because I'm staring at some of the editing that I have to get done for the deadline, but it's going to be coming out on March 21st is the release date, I believe. So nice. I've been prepping for that. It's going to be a series kind of based on my radio show, My Darkest Hour, but it's kind of a variety type thing. I will take people on paranormal adventures with me on places, kind of showing them the places, doing some different types of techniques in the paranormal that I talk about, so people can see real world experiments in the paranormal on the show, along with continuing doing the interviews live and doing tips and tricks. I'll be covering different subjects of the science of the paranormal as well. Just kind of bringing everything I got to a streaming service so everybody can get a chance to really check it out and become a part of it, and keep people going, just keep people interested in the paranormal and getting the answers, because the more people doing it, the more evidence we can get. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations on it.
Yeah, definitely. Congratulations. Where will people be able to find the show?
The launch date's going to be on Paraflix streaming service. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that yet, but it's a new all paranormal, all the time show coming out that I've been working on. I got involved into it with Patty Negree, who is somebody that I do a lot of investigations with, and I've done a lot of the live streaming stuff with her, and it works out really good. And she was the one that kind of pushed me into getting. We're all focused on that, and it's going to be huge. All paranormal, all day, 24 hours a day.
That will be kind of cool. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it'll be fun, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, when you get big, then I can say I knew him when.
So yeah, I forgot about that guy a long time ago. That was great. Okay. No, man.
So
I want to keep it real. That way, it makes it work for everybody.
I hear that, and you know, I really wish more people were like that. You know, you had mentioned earlier that there are basically two kinds of paranormal enthusiasts out there. Those that actually want to do investigations and learn, and those that just want to become TV stars. It's nice when people can actually do a little bit of both. If you get my meaning.
Yeah, the right mixture. You know, it's what's most important. You know, you have this list of things that you want to bring to the table. Is it more important to look good on TV? Are you bringing your workout set so you can pump up before you go on camera? Are you trying to bring real-world evidence and show people and get people who are following you to understand what's going on? Because those are the people who are interested. Those are the future of paranormal investigation right there. And you want to help them learn their skills early so they can become better at it. You know, it's not about looking good on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and by the way, our producer came up with the title of that movie. It was a movie called Terminal with Tom Hanks, and the premise was that he was an immigrant and they would have deported him if he left the terminal. So I'm not crazy, just nuts.
And that was a movie with Tom Hanks, and
Yeah, it was.
Did it get all kinds of awards?
That I'm not sure, but like I said, the title of the movie was Terminal. So if you're interested, there it is. So you've mentioned before that your group's photos have appeared in quite a few magazines and books. Can you give us a bit of info about that, where we might be able to find some of those photos?
American Haunted Road Trip, Volume 2. Obviously, a lot out here in the newspaper stuff, in the Reporter. I do a lot of interviews there every year because I'm always trying to find out about the haunted areas out here. We have stuff that is in Barry Taft has a book that he's got a picture that we took on an investigation. I didn't take the picture. Actually, it was Tara Mead who took the picture of a strange anomaly at the Omen House that he thought was interesting enough to cover it and talk about it. That is also published in a few magazines. America's Greatest Light Workers is another book by Maximilian. That's another one with a lot of stuff in it of ours as well. And of course, all the paranormal TV shows, people can find those evidence on a lot of stuff. My Ghost Story, we've actually got a few episodes on there showing some of our photograph work and video work as well. And you can also find a lot of that stuff on the YouTube channel. And of course, if you guys follow me on Facebook, it's all on Facebook as well.
All right. And I know this one is dear to your heart. So go ahead and plug My Darkest Hour. I know you've been doing this for a long time. I know your show's been doing great, but can you give us a breakdown of the show and where people can tune in to listen to you?
Absolutely. So everybody out there, I have a show called My Darkest Hour Radio. It is originally from liveparanormal.com. You can check it out there. But it's also streamed out on iHeartRadio, iTunes. You can find it on Google Podcasts, at History FM. I started doing this show, I can't even remember. It's been so long now. I used to think about that. Like, when's my anniversary for each show? It just got to the point where, like, I can't even remember how many years I've been doing it. it's been that long, and that's pretty sad because it means I'm getting older.
Well, no,
I don't know if I
would say that that's sad, because you've been doing it for so long and it's been successful for so long that you can't remember exactly how long it's been. And that's kind of, to me, I would be looking on the bright side of, wow, okay, so it's still going. So that's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what got the attention for me to want to do the television series as well. And I really want to start a different kind of radio show. Everybody has a show. They just kind of bring somebody on and it's all the same stuff. I wanted to open up my show, to talk about paranormal investigators, techniques, a lot of science. A lot of people don't like that, but I wanted to keep it open. So I invite a variety of different guests from the different gamuts of the paranormal, even from the very new paranormal investigators, the new teams that are starting off out there, talking to them and finding out what they've discovered so far, talking to them about technique and stuff, and watching them grow a little bit, all the way to the more advanced people who have been doing it for years and years and years. I've got some of the best, biggest names in the paranormal that have come on my show, talk about their history, which is absolutely amazing, the things they've gone through. And these people have done it for so long, they can tell you things to do and what not to do, because they've done it, and what's worked and what has failed, and that opens it up. I not only have the technical paranormal investigators on my show, I have the psychics, the people who have lived the experiences. I have a lot of great published authors, including yourself, who have been on my show talking about their books and the things they experienced. For example, a lot of people talk to me about the Queen Mary, and I always refer you to them. Say, if you want to know about the Queen Mary, you gotta follow my buddy Brian and my buddy Bob and see what they're doing, because I don't know anybody who knows more about that stuff than you guys. So even when other shows talk to me about, if you done the Queen Mary, this and that, I would say, hey, you got to contact these guys. They're your go-to guys for that.
You're no slouch on knowing the Queen Mary yourself, though. So
yeah, but overall, you guys have been the Queen Mary more than I have. So I've learned, and I say that because I've learned more about the Queen Mary from hanging out with you and Bob over the years. I'm like, these are great stories. Oh, I'm gonna check that out. That's really helped me a lot, and that's what I want to bring to the people who listen to the show. They can find out about these people and their guests and what they've gone through, and they go and they find out, what the connection is between them and other people. My first question when I do my radio shows is ask that person how they got in.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Stefan?
Yeah, I'm getting him back.
All right. Well, while we wait, he was talking about the Queen Mary, and Bob and I have actually been involved with the Queen Mary for quite a while, but we're not the only ones. I mean, yeah, we've done our fair share, but there are a lot of investigators out there who have dedicated a lot of time to investigating the paranormal. And currently, even though the ship is closed, I want to give a shout out to Matt Schultz. He's the paranormal tour guide, and he has stuff set up on the ship. So he's got like a 24-hour link to catch spirits talking, any kind of strange things that might occur down in areas of the ship where no people are. And it's one of those things where, right now, Matt is like, for even Bob and I, he's like our go-to to, get information about the Queen Mary.
Well, you saw where the Queen Mary's auctioning off their contract. I think it's for $250 million or something like that.
Well, yeah, I did. And I mean, I've been really curious about that because Eagle only has the lease, All right. And I've been trying to wrap my head around the fact that how can you sell a lease when the Queen Mary is actually owned by the city of Long Beach? And somebody tried to explain to me that because it was the bankruptcy court, and that the bankruptcy court can try and get as much money back as possible to pay the creditors once a company declares bankruptcy, that the bankruptcy court can actually sell the lease. Now, my problem with that has to do with the fact that, okay, so when the city of Long Beach wants to get a leasee for the ship, they vet the company, they check out the financials, they check out the business acumen and all of that before they award the lease. Well, now if you have a bankruptcy court saying, okay, you have enough money, we're selling the lease to you. Okay, so now what happens if they don't agree with the lease that they just bought? Technically, they didn't sign it. So what happens if they decide, okay, well, we're not going to abide by this part of the maintenance agreement, and we're not going to abide by the this amount of money that you agreed to with the other company whose signature is on it? And it just sounds like there's something just not right with being able to sell a lease. Or am I just kind of a...
Well, the people that own the lease right now, I think they signed they just redid their contract like a year or two ago and signed it for a 66-year lease.
Yeah, it was a 66-year lease.
Yeah.
Now, one of the reasons that and I hear the Queen Mary has been plagued since its inception with people who have not understood how to manage the ship.
Stefan, are you back with us?
Oh yeah, I've been listening to Brian talk about the Queen Mary.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
feel free to jump in.
Yeah.
I just want to say, go ahead. I heard you talking about Matt, and Matt's super awesome. He's taking me into some crazy places on there that I just can't believe, that are just amazing places to investigate. So that's very cool.
Yeah, he really is. And I mean, you've known me and Bob long enough where you know that the relationship between us and Matt started off kind of rocky. But I'll tell you, now after getting to know him and us, we've got a pretty good friendship. We kind of realized that we were both coming from a place of misunderstanding. And now, it's great to be able to, go to Matt and say, hey, Matt, what's going on with this? So I want to give a big shout out to Matt Schultz, and anybody, when the ship opens up again, if you want to take a really good paranormal tour, take Matt's paranormal investigation tour, which starts anywhere from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night. And it's only supposed to go until 2, but you'll be lucky if Matt has you back by 6 a.m. He just loves it. He, and he'll just take you around, and it's a good time, and he really does know what he's doing. Stefan, sorry, when you got cut off, I kind of want to change things up here, just for a couple questions. I've heard you play quite a few times, and you guys are really good. So how long has your band been together, and what type of venues do you play? And, just maybe give our listeners an idea of your band. Because like I said, I think you guys are great.
Oh, awesome, man. Thank you. The band you're talking about is, we call Raised on Vinyl, and a lot of people refer to us as ROV. And we were once considered a classic rock type band, but we eventually turned into what we call an arena rock band. We try to bring the harder rock sound that we used to experience back in my day, at the arena, the big concerts, the big amplifiers, the explosions, the excitement, whatever we can do. and kind of give you that real world experience in that kind of concert. And that is the band that I have the 2 awards from. And we play all over. We play like a lot of medium-sized halls, and if we get on the bigger shows with other bands like us, it's great. And during COVID, we've been doing a lot of working on some new material, working on a new album, and even started shooting new videos, because when things open back up, we need to go back out there and finish the shows and finish all the touring and stuff that we didn't get to finish when everything got shut down last March. So looking forward to that. It's going to be good stuff.
Who are some of the bands that you've opened up for?
Who are some of the bands that I have opened up for? Or just
your band or you general, yeah.
Me generally, I don't know, Pearl Jam, Green Day, Weezer, my favorite Jewel, a lot of heavy metal bands. You guys, I don't know if you guys are into the heavy metal stuff.
No, I love heavy metal.
Oh, you do?
I had my own band. I'm a bass player. I
awesome.
was playing out in Houston in the 90s. So yeah,
hey,
that's cool.
I played a kazoo.
Dude, then I need you on my next album.
I'll tell you what.
I always say kazoo solo, man.
I want washboard.
Yeah.
There
you go. You now have a kazoo solo accompanied by a washboard. There you go.
Yeah, very cool, man. Seriously, I'm gonna hit you up for that, because I love. Everybody knows I love random instruments in all the songs. Just triangles, cowbells, hand claps, whatever. I'm just all about it. That's rad.
Well, I'm not sure that I would actually call a kazoo an instrument, but now the cowbell. Every time somebody says cowbell, or I hear "Don't Fear the Reaper," I cannot help but think they're not live. More cowbell, more cowbell. It's like it drives me nuts now. So curious, what do your bandmates think about your paranormal proclivities, shall we say?
You're showing off again with the big words.
My lead singer, he actually joined my paranormal team. He's on Pacific Coast Paranormal now.
Yeah.
My bass player is fascinated by it, and he's trying to do stuff with the paranormal team, but I won't let him. And my drummer, we have a new drummer, and he's just blown away by it. What's interesting is we practice weekly at the Majestic Ventura Theater, which is a very well-known haunted theater, and it's just us in there. And they things happen all the time there, especially since it's been shut down for a year, and the only people making noise in there is us. So things happen a lot there, and they freak out. My bass player got a photograph of a woman standing right behind me with some weird headdress thing on. Just the other night we were rehearsing, and 3 of us watched a fold-out chair at a cocktail table slide back about 6 inches, like someone sitting down.
Wow.
We see shadows. We see the light anomalies. I mean, these ghosts are just so used to us; they're not even hiding. And we get the impression a lot of them are still like residual type that are still doing their thing. So we could turn off all the power and sit in there. We could hear things in the kitchen. We hear things on stage, up in the dressing rooms. I've gone there before, and I've heard in the kitchen what sounds like somebody doing the dishes and using that big power sprayer and hosing them down and sliding the dishes in the trays.
Really?
We don't have dishes or a sprayer
in
the theater. Yeah, so we go in there, and it's just crazy.
So I'm kind of jealous now. You get to do the 2 things you love at the same time. So
yeah,
that's got to be kind of cool for you, And
yeah.
I remember last Friday when we were together, you had mentioned something about possibly being able to come up to the theater with you one of these days. And believe me, I am definitely going to hit you up for that. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Oh, Oh, dude, I tell everyone that. You got to, I mean, it's such an incredible place. And as soon as you go in there, you just feel it. And there's so many spirits in there. And when they like you and they're just comfortable around you, it's nonstop. It's just crazy. So, like, close friends of mine, I'll invite out there to come check it out. I invited you. I invite Doug before he passed, and J. Marie Yates. But I don't let anybody go in there and really investigate. I don't open up to the public like that. Because I made a pact with these spirits a long time ago. I wasn't going to let anybody exploit them or make them do tricks or whatever. I just want them to just be comfortable and be themselves. Last Thursday, I had a party at the Ventura Theater for the spirits there because it's been around since the 1920s. So I went through on a Monday night, and I just sat there, and then it's a huge theater. It's so dark. I just sat there in the darkness, right in the meat of it, and I told them all, I'm like, hey, you guys, I'm going to come back Thursday. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to play music from all the decades for you guys. You guys can enjoy the music you guys want to hear instead of listening to us all the time. So we packed up a bunch of gear and some Bluetooth speakers, some cameras, went down there, set it all up, turned on the music, started with music from the 20s, 30s, 40s, man, and it was just wild. It felt almost like we were at like a prom or something because the energy was so intense. Like there was like cold spots, warm spots, static sensations going on. We were seeing shadow anomalies on the sides. I mean, it was incredible. We had the SOS cameras going, and there were stick figures that looked like they were standing right in the floor, like they were dancing, like tapping their legs and snapping their hands. It was really a really interesting thing, and you got a good vibe of just this giant palace theater, just ringing with the sounds of what used to be in there, you know, just kind of flashing back to those times for these spirits. And it was just a really good thing. But the most popular one, we got the most activity, was probably the 40s during the wartime stuff. Those songs really brought up a lot of activity, a lot of noises happening. You're hearing things moving in the lobbies and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, a lot of that might have to do with the fact that, especially, in the early to mid 40s, you had a lot of people under a lot of stress, because of the war and things like that. So, if you do have any spirits there that are from that era, I can imagine that, playing that type of music just brings back the more pleasant things that they would think about. We need to take another quick station identification break, but when we come back, we will continue speaking with Stefan Brigatti.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the World Wide Web of Weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
And welcome back to Full Spectrum Project on WBHM-DB out of Birmingham, Alabama. If we have a little bit of time left, so if you want to join the chat room, go to WBHM-DB.com, click on the Full Spectrum Project show banner, and that will take you to the chat room. And if you would like to call in with questions for our guests or the host, you can call into area code 205-533-7982. So never play jokes on your wife. All right. I switched. Well, I switched all of the labels on her spice jars. Now,
dude.
Okay. Well, look, she hasn't found out yet. So I'm not in trouble yet. But I'm telling you, the time is cumin for it to have.
Oh God!
Wow.
He's Googling again.
I am not Googling. Although, here's a question. No, here's a question. So, if you are looking for ghosts on the internet, is it Googling?
You didn't just go there.
I did. I had to. It was there. I had to use it.
I'm sorry, Stefan.
It's just,
all right.
I'm sorry.
Well, he'll never be coming back.
No, I won't.
Oh.
That's funny. That's actually pretty funny. I'm thinking about using that joke on tomorrow's show on No Cover. So.
Well, no, Pete just said he's not coming back. My dream has come true. Mine.
No.
It's all mine.
Is that how you do exorcism?
Shoot, I do. You just keep telling dad jokes, and finally, the demons go away because they're like, oh, you know what? This ain't worth it. Possession, hell no, not with the dad jokes. So I just started a whole new trend. So, okay, so I don't mean to be bringing up a tender subject, but you were good friends with Doug Carnahan. I mean, you guys had known each other for a long time, and his loss was devastating to the paranormal community. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. People have been asking you if you might continue with the Virginia City Paracon if Doug's family decides not to. I know you and I kind of talked about it last week. And is this something that you would be interested in doing? And if so, would you continue with exactly the way it was, or would you put your own flair into it, shall we say?
Well, here's the deal with Virginia City Paracon. You know, it's a really important thing to me because that was my escape every year. And like you said, me and Doug were really close friends, and that friendship grew stronger and stronger over doing the events that I did for him over the years. When Doug had the Paracon in Virginia City, he would try to start with what he had, and then he would try to add on to it every year, try to get something new and something different. So I want to try to continue with what he had in mind, to do that, to bring back all the fun that we've all had in those locations and add more to it, more, whether we're doing workshops. He used to do workshops, then he got away from it a little bit and started doing like a seance or a certain specialty room. But I would like to have more sub-events during that weekend of the Paracon, whether it's having a seance at the miner's cabin or at the train station, or just add more each time we come back around, because we just had the 10-year anniversary, and that was huge. So it'd be really sad to let it just kind of stop there, because it doesn't make any sense to stop.
Right. And let's face it, it is a fantastic venue for a Paracon. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Yeah. And the people that they appreciate it so much. They're so nice to us and give us the opportunity to put on these events and share in the history of these great locations. I mean, last time I was there, I got handed the keys to the Washoe Club. Just me and my wife, just all alone, out in the Washoe Club. We locked the door and just went up there, and then they asked me to lead a group up there. So I brought them and got them started, and they left, and it was just me and Arlene again, and it was just an incredible experience. Just us alone in the Washoe Club. I did a live stream walkthrough with it, and I came back down, and she thought she saw somebody going up to the top. So she grabbed my camera, and she went by herself to the top Millionaires Club and the Washoe Club by herself to experience it and check to make sure there's nobody in there. And that's incredible, because she was able to hear like whistling and noises behind her and stuff. She thought she heard children laughing, and that's a terrible place for women back in the day. They were horrible to some of the women up there. So I'm surprised that she got through all that. And then again, the Mackey Mansion.
It was definitely an old boys club back in the day.
Yeah, she's like a woman all by herself, all in the dark, no lights on, just walking around with her flashlight, making sure nobody was there. It's like, wow, that's cool. And then the Mackey Mansion too. Dawn, she was over there, and so I told her what we were doing, and she let us have the run of the place and did another live feed from there. All of those places are incredible. I've done most of those places and would love to just incorporate more of them and more things for people to do and experience not only the hauntings, but the history of Virginia City itself, because it's such an incredible place that we all love to go to.
Right. Now, I know, I don't remember if it was the first Paracon that Planet Paranormal went to, but there was one that he held it at the Fourth Ward School.
Yeah.
And I thought, I thought that was a great location, but then it all of a sudden it's like he wasn't doing it there anymore. Was there a reason for that? Did the Fourth Ward just decide this isn't for us? Because I mean, that was such a great venue.
They enjoyed what happened, the year we did it there. There was some things they were remodeling and doing some changes there, so they weren't going to allow us to be able to do the same exact thing the next year around. But they are still interested. What we're trying to get into now is the Opera House. That's my next big one. I want to get into there. I've already done some investigating there, but if we can use it as one of the Paracon sites, that'd be great. So yeah.
Well, I know that
too.
I know the Delta Saloon was a great venue as well, but then it blew up. So
yeah, that kind of put it back a little bit. But the people from the Bonanza own it, and they've been really great, with us and helping us out too. So.
Oh, dude! Now see, I did not know that the owners of the Bonanza also owned the Delta Saloon.
Oh yeah,
so
that's why the suicide table is at the Bonanza now.
Oh, okay. God, I know the last Paracon just last August. I cannot believe how. I mean, of all the Paracons that I have vended at, that was the best one yet. And I mean, it was just, and the fact that you could actually vend out on the patio to see that 5-mile view was just awesome. I mean, you cannot find a better view anywhere.
That was killer.
Yeah, I mean that was great. So, yeah, I was definitely looking forward to it. So if you get it going, you've got any help you need, you just let me know.
Yeah, that'll be great. The thing is, I over those past 10 years, I know all the same people that want to do the Paracon, so it shouldn't be really hard to get people. We just got to make sure everyone's got the dates available. I actually have a phone call tomorrow discussing the Paracon and what the next the next step's going to be. So I'll keep you guys updated on that.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, another thing that Doug used to do is he would have these like one night events at different locations. I believe one of them was the Slaughterhouse, and then there was another one up in Utah. Is there any plans for you maybe starting those back up as well if Doug's family doesn't want to do that?
Possibly. The Slaughterhouse is that is in Jay and Marie's area, so
right.
We're going to talk about that tomorrow too. The event that Doug had planned, because there was some really big stuff that was on the horizon that he was getting going. And when he passed, I was getting calls from a lot of people from Midwest and back east saying, well, he was going to do this, and we were discussing this. What do you think? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we are now officially moving forward and trying to get all the pieces together to make these things happen. And I definitely want to keep it, in his honor, because he meant so much to so many of us and brought so many really incredible people together that I value in my life in the paranormal field. And a lot of them came directly from him. Yeah.
Now, just if you don't mind, you mentioned Jay and Marie a couple times. For our listeners who do not know Jay and Marie Yates, they've been involved with a lot of Paracons and events here out in the West. And they're literally some of the finest people I know. And, having built up a friendship with them over the last few years, I'm really looking forward to going out to the Vulture City Paracon this October and spending some time with them and you as well, because if I remember right, you are the host for that event. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm the MC, kind of holding it down and keeping it rolling.
Yeah. Well, I know that one ought to be a lot of fun.
Yes, that's always a great place to go to, and hanging out with the Yates is always incredible, great experience. I have so much fun with them every year, and that was somebody who I met through Doug. We did a thing in Arizona at Yuma. We were at the Yuma prison together, and that we just hit it off and had so much in common. We became close friends ever since. So it's definitely very cool.
Yeah, well, they're definitely very good people. So with the minute or so that we have left, you have started a kind of a variety TV show called No Cover TV. Can you give our listeners a brief idea of what that is and where they can watch that? And I was just on it, so you had to have star quality now. Okay, yeah, I'm blowing my own horn.
Oh, okay. You're talking about that show. We're talking about No Cover TV. Okay.
Correct.
No Cover TV is a show based on the music and entertainment magazine called No Cover Magazine, of course. And a good friend of mine, Tim, started this show, and he's been a DJ in the business for years and years and years, and he wanted to give back to our community and talk about the artists in so many different directions. But he kept expanding it over the years, and then he got me involved, and I started booking guests for him and trying to get more content, and he really fell in love with the paranormal side that I have for bringing the table, besides being a musician that he used on a bunch of live events as well. But just to keep that mystery, he really likes the paranormal. I brought that to the table. He asked me to start bringing other people on to the guests. You've been on. That was a great show with you. Patty McGree came out here and she blew them all away. They were all freaked out by her because she was so great. Father Sebastian's been on the show. Richard Lale. Pretty much all my closest friends that are in the paranormal that do this kind of stuff came down to do the show. And it streams on a speaker, and you can see it on the YouTube channel directly. I know he's got a couple of other networks that are looking at picking it up that I really can't talk about right now because things are on the table right now. But
gotcha.
it's a great show and it's a lot of fun. Like you said, it was 4 hours. We did that hour and a half with you, and then things just got crazy after that because that's what we do. We just go for it and see what happens.
Yeah, well,
Hope everybody survives.
I'll tell you, I had an absolute ball on that. Stefan, unfortunately we are out of time, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show. It was, you've interviewed me a couple times, and I'm glad I finally got to return the favor. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Stefan. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, you guys. You guys have been a lot of fun, and the jokes are pretty good. Except for Brian. You got to look him up real quick, but whatever.
Hey, watch it.
All good, buddy.
Now Angie gets involved. Wow.
Oh, sweetheart, I'm always involved. I just don't make it known.
Yeah,
wait till the right time.
Yeah, it just scares me. All right. Well, anyway, so next week, please join us when we welcome paranormal researcher, author, and a law enforcement officer, Randolph Liebeck, to the show. And until next week, I just want to say be safe, be happy, and let's hope things start to get back to normal. Until then, I'm your host, Brian Clune. And I just wanted to say, goodbye and thank you for listening. Pete?
Thank you all for listening, and thanks again to our guest, Stefan Brigatti, for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Stefan. Say good night, Angie.
Good night.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.